Le kwelakini impilo yomuntu ngabe isezandleni zikabani? Kwezenkosi noma kwezabalandeli bayo?
In your country, he asks, to whom does life belong? To the king or to his subjects?
In our country, each man is lord of his own life, and only his own life. King included, tell him.
Kwela kubo, wonke umuntu uziphathela impilo yakhe nenkosi isiphathela iyayo impilo.
Inkosi yanithumela impilo ubanhlasele.
Can your king make you go to war? He asks. Yes?
Niyafa empini.
And can you die in war? Yes. Yebo, ungafa.
Akusilona-ke iqiniso lokho kushoyo. Yonke impilo ingeyenkosi.
Then you are wrong, he says. Your king owns life.
Ngokufanayo-ke nakuleli. Konke ukuphila kwabantu kusezandleni zami. Ngakho-ke beningenalo ilungelo lokuthi nimphilise ngaphandle kwami mina Ndlovu enkulu.
Here, life belongs to Shaka. Her life belongs to Shaka. And you had no right to give her life without the Great Elephant's permission.
He's going to kill her.
What the hell do you think you're doing?
In God's name, we've got to stop him.
We are in no position to stop anything.
What would you have me do? Just sit here and watch?
Yes, Finn, that's exactly what he's doing.
Esikhathini ezizayo amandla enu kufanele wasebenzise ekusizakaleni kwami mina Ndlovu.
He says that in the future, you will use your powers for the benefit of the Great Elephant.
I know a lot of you were upset about the other video that I made yesterday. Oh, you really gonna be upset about this one. But as I was saying before, the whole king and queen thing that a whole lot of us over here done got ourselves caught up in. What you need to do is do a lot of research and be honest in what you're studying. And a lot of this that's going on right now, it's really not our fault. I'm going to say our fault. I'm not going to just divorce myself from the group, because I was one who were also caught up in the king and queen concept until I went overseas and I found out exactly what it takes for a human being to exalt themselves to that status, king and queen. It takes the suffering of other people, and it takes the destruction of families. It takes the destruction of nations, bloodshed. These are things that you already know. These things that you already know, because it wasn't just Shaka and them, or people like Great Britain all of the bloodshed that they had to establish all over what is called the Middle East and Europe and China and all of that, to establish the new world over here, which is now called America. It took bloodshed. And the bloodshed didn't start here. The bloodshed started overseas. But you cannot ignore that Egypt, those kings and queens over there, or used to be kings and queens over there, what a lot of our people either don't know or choose to ignore is that the kings of queens over there in Egypt, those were not righteous people. Those people were not righteous. You're going to have to do some honest research and take some time and go overseas. Go to Egypt, study Egypt, study Great Britain, study Rome. All of these kings and queens, these people were tyrants. These were not righteous people. But what a lot of these people are not going to tell you is that the only way that a person can bring strength to that status is by the submission of the people. If the people bow down and say, "You are my king," and they pretty much give their productivity and their lives over to these people and tell them, "I put my life, my productivity, my self-respect, my entire state of existence in your hands. And from this point on, I allow you to tell me what to do with my life. And I submit to you. I give my whole life to you. I give my whole existence to you." This is how they are created kings, along with the violence and bloodshed. And this is how they are maintained kings. And if you look at the movie Shaka Zulu, after he had lost control, and he said, after his mother Nandi died, he said, "The promises of my people are as vain as those of the swallows." So, and I have to admit, when I first saw that, it made me cry, because Shaka Zulu, that brother he was totally innocent. And he was in between African prophecy, Nandi's lies, and Christianity from the Europeans over there. So this is what he meant. He said, again, "The promises of my people," which is prophecy, "are as vain as those of the swallows," Christianity and their lies. So he was caught. Imagine coming up as a young child, young male child, or even female child, and you're told how your life is supposed to be before you even get a chance to live it yourself. You're going to be this great king, and you're going to lead kings by the sword or the spear, thundering black shields and all of these. And so you're an innocent child, and you are encouraged to be convinced to believe this about yourself. And so you suffer through a whole lot of abuse in your life. You become an outcast. You see your mother abused, never knowing that the abuse that your mother is going through, she had brought upon herself because she was ambitious. Because your mother wasn't a humble woman. She was an ambitious woman. She was greedy. She was cruel, and she was loose. She was a loose woman. but you're the son and you love your mother. And so you stick by your mother, despite how your mother is screwing up your life without you having knowledge of the fact that she is destroying your life by way of her own ambition and her influence. And this is why Shaka Zulu's aunt in Gabai was telling their group, their counseling group, and she was saying that we have to get him away from his mother. And she said it's still possible right now because he's young and he still can be molded. He still can be told the truth. And how many mothers do you see this right now who try to prevent their sons of knowing the facts at a time in their lives to where they're able to listen? And so that failed. Shaka was turned against his father. His father wasn't that much of a good man either, you know? And so he ends up becoming this king. Everybody's bowing down to him, submitting to him. And this is after Shaka has built a reputation of being a killer and a tyrant. I'm going somewhere with this. And so when he shows up, he kills his stepbrother right before everybody. Now, when people see this, of course, you're going to hurry up and submit. Because if this man kills his own stepbrother in front of us, what would prevent him from taking one of our lives? And so they bow to him. And in their bowing to him and in their submission to him, they offer themselves to his rulership, whether that rulership is beneficial to them or harmful to them. This is the whole king and queen concept. And if you study Great Britain, it's very similar. And if you study Rome, very similar. If you study Egypt, very similar. My whole question is, how many of you would have submitted to a whole lot of these people who you say you honor and admire so much? Would you want to be next to the king, or would rather be one of his subjects? What do you mean I'm a subject? It means you have no more power nor rights over your life. You're just a subject. So whatever I choose to go down with you, you have no say so. So this is the reason why he said, in your country, who has the power over life and death? The king or his subjects? So you mean to tell me you would rather be subjected to whatever this so-called king or queen decides with your life? Okay. I'm pretty certain that a whole lot of you remember the video that Michael Jackson made. Remember the times. Yeah, you remember that. When at the beginning of the video, you know, the guy was juggling and trying to make the queen, and she decided off with his head. Oh yeah, that's funny. That's really funny. That's funny. Yeah. Me, I didn't laugh. I'm not saying that I'm better than anyone, but due to the fact that I've studied history and I know about them tyrants, that wasn't funny to me at all. And all I see, whether it's the Michael Jackson video whether I observe the movies or the plays of these so-called kings and queens, everybody sitting around with their chest poked out. And what power? What is the primary power that these kings and queens have over their subjects? The power of life and death. And those are the people that you walk around saying that you're proud of. We come from kings and queens. No. You come from subjects. And when it was time for the Arabs, the Portuguese, the Irish, the French, the Ethiopians, when it was time for all of those people, and the Spaniards, when it was time for all of those people to build their infrastructure of their regions or countries or whatever you want to call it, they knew who they were able to go to get bodies in order to accomplish that. They knew that they were able to go over there to Africa and get as many bodies as they needed. Why is it that they knew that? It's because they knew the subjects over there had absolutely no power over their lives because they had kings and queens over them. And these are the people. If you think I'm lying, if you say I'm lying, research it. So when a woman says, "How you doing, King?" I always say, "Please don't, just call me David." And simply because my name is David, and there was a guy who was called King David, I would rather them not put that title before my name. There's only one person in my life, and I'm not even gonna front. It is one person, only one person in my life that calls me King David is Alexis K. Tyler, who's a very, very dear friend of mine, who I love immensely. And see, and when she calls me King, it's because she honors my character. And she tells me, in honoring my character, that I am what a king should be, because I'm not out to hurt nobody. I'm only out to help people and take care of people, either financially or mentally. So that's the only woman on this planet that I will accept that title, King David, from, because I know what she means when she calls me that. And I call her Queen Alexis K. Tyler because I love her. I love her dearly. You know, she's helped me a great deal, and that's what a queen is supposed to do with her king. You know, now people, is that your woman? No, she's a very good friend of mine. And if I'm just going to be totally honest with you, if I ever had a chance to make her my woman, you better believe, hell yeah, without a doubt. But aside from that, this is why I said it is nothing proud about this whole king and queen concept. But you need to take your time, do your research, and find out how those positions were cultivated and how much bloodshed and violence and brutality that it took for these people to be put in these positions. Because when this woman, I forget her name, Great Britain, when she just recently passed, she used to take pictures with all of the jewelry and the stones and everything that was on her in these pictures. The rubies, the diamonds, the gold, all of those things. All of those things came about for her to wear was by way of bloodshed, violence, the suffering of the children in the Sudan. I mean, you researching. If you want to be a king, if you want to be a king and a queen, make certain that when you accept that title that's on you, you explain to the person why you're accepting that title. But just don't loosely accept it because somebody is calling you oh, king this, king that. You explain, you educate people. You let people know why you are accepting that. I'm accepting that based upon righteous moral principles. And all of this, oh, we were the original Egyptians. That ain't nothing to be proud of, bro. I'm telling you, that ain't nothing to be proud of. Them Egyptians was brutalizing people. They were brutalizing people. When they launched the campaign to build Egypt, they went all over the Middle East and they brutalized people and they kidnapped people. How do you think the Hebrews got there? So let's not talk about, let's take away the title Hebrews, all right? Because I don't want you Hebrew Israelites to try to capitalize off of what this is about, because they went around, and I'm gonna tell you something else that I learned overseas, but they went around and they kidnapped a whole lot of people. They brutalized a whole lot of people to the degree that once they gained a sufficient amount of people over there in Egypt in order to build their cities, once they saw signs of a whole lot of people becoming too weak or old to continue to do the work, then after a while, they started campaigning, offering people from those same areas and other remote areas, they offered them a lavish lifestyle to come to Egypt and build their pyramids for them. And we'll have settings for you and all of that. And so once a whole lot of people started offering their services to Egypt in order to help them build Egypt, after a while, people found out from the elders there that no, you're under a dictatorship. And so when those people tried to leave, they no longer were able to leave. Now, what I found out overseas in India, and especially in London, England, please go to London, England and study, because if it's one thing, you know how in the movie Malcolm X, when they said that Malcolm said, I'm going to tell the devil the truth to his face. I'm going to tell that devil the truth to his face. Let me tell you something about that devil. See, that came across like you're going to hurt the devil's feelings. Any evil person, see, what it is the spirit of Satan that influences the individual. And when that individual falls up under the influence of Satan and takes upon its mentality, then that person becomes a devil. That's what creates a devil. After a human being submits themselves to the mentality of Satan and carry out the will of Satan, the spirit of Satan, that's when it becomes a devil. Let me tell you something about this devil. Going up to him, telling him the truth to his face, you ain't hurting his feelings. How did you learn that truth? You learned that truth by way of what he allowed you to know through his historical accounts. He already knows it. So don't think that you're hurting his feelings. I'm gonna tell the devil the truth to his face. You did this to the Indians, and you did this to the Ethiopians, and you did this to the Egyptians. You know what that devil gonna do? He's gonna say, yeah, I did that, didn't I? I sure did. Isn't it wonderful? And you wanna know how you found that out? I wrote it down and I allowed you to read it. So don't think you hurting that devil's feelings by telling him his truth to his face. You ain't hurting his feelings. So don't think you hurting his feelings by telling him what he allowed you to know. You're not hurting his feelings. But go over there and get some real facts. And so I found out, I bring all of that up, I found out, is the term, if you look at the movie, The Ten Commandments, which is full of a whole lot of lies, but if it's one thing that they definitely didn't lie about, and if you look at that movie, they use the title Hebrew next to the term slave. So they say the Hebrew slaves. It's not that these people were Hebrew. They used the term Hebrew/slave. So I'm bringing that up because of one reason. When they went around and they kidnapped a whole lot of people and forced people to their plow so that they can build their pyramids and their other projects of self-worship, you know, statues, the Sphinx and all of that bullshit. Yes, bullshit. When those people were not allowed to leave, and therefore they started breeding the same way the Africans over here started breeding and started developing families. The term Hebrew back in that day meant slave. It meant slave. And what a whole lot of people fail to realize, when you come up with this Hebrew Israelite doctrine, it tells you without a whole lot of them coming to realize it. Oh, we the original Hebrews, you're original Hebrews. Why don't you just say you are a descendant of the original slaves? The same way a whole lot of so-called African Americans try to say our ancestors come from Africa and our ancestors were a part of the slave trade. Do your research. Don't believe nothing I'm saying. You probably don't anyway, but do your own research. Hebrew means slave. That's what it means. Now, it may mean something else over here in America, and that's up to you. But that's what it means. And when Moses found out that he was a descendant from a slave, from a Hebrew, which means slave, he said, let my people go. He didn't say, let my Hebrew people go. They were called Hebrews because they were slaves. It was a brand that was stamped on him. They were Hebrews. And then, of course, when the scholars got a hold to that information, then they created a so-called race of people and they put a religious doctrine behind it. And so they're called Hebrew Israelites. I mean, there's a whole historical account that a whole lot of you guys are going to have to come in contact with, but you won't be able to come contact with it effectively over here. You have to get your bag right, and you have to go over here to London. Don't worry about racism, because it's going to be racism everywhere, but you have to travel to the most powerful dynasties, and I would suggest go over to London, England. Go over to London, England, because look, a lot of us say he or she's been westernized. What happened was, this Western culture actually comes out of Egypt. It came out of Egypt. And one of the first dynasties was Ethiopia. And the Egyptians and the Ethiopians were basically cousins. And the way that they became cousins is because the people who are called the Ethiopians were once one with the Egyptians, and they had political and religious differences, and so they separated, but they separated peacefully. And what happened was, when the Europeans showed up in Egypt, and they started stirring up trouble, the cousins got together and they started trading Europeans in between Egypt and Ethiopia. Think I'm lying? Go ahead, think I'm lying. Look it up. And then when Rome, that was not all just white, it was some black Romans. We had black emperors of Rome. Look it up. Don't believe me. Look it up. But you're gonna find some truth over here in America. But if you really want the facts of the matter, get your bag right and go over there to London, England. Do that, because London, England is the reason why America even exists. America is nothing but a child of Great Britain. Please do your research. And so when they started trading in between Egypt and Ethiopian, Rome caught known to that. And so that's how Rome developed a relationship with Egypt. And so this is where you get the whole Cleopatra stuff going on. And then eventually, I believe it was 26 dynasties, and then Egypt fell. And then from that point, Rome took over. And they put more military advancement into the Western culture that Egypt cultivated. And then when Rome fell, then Great Britain took over, and they made it. They made what Egypt and Rome did. They sophisticated it. And this is where you get the people walking around with their chests all poked out, and you have the beautiful British accent, and they developed a culture that was highly intelligent and more sophisticated and less primitive. And then they developed a better relationship with the Catholic Church, and Great Britain poured a whole lot of money into the Catholic Church and gave them power. And then the Catholic Church launched a campaign of involving a whole lot of Africans and Ethiopians into the Catholic Church, a lot of Haitians into the Catholic Church. You have Ethiopians, you have Haitians, you have Africans, you have British, all of these people. And then the next thing you know, they wanted to create a new world, which came America. And so what they did, they took what they considered the trash of Europe, and these people who were under the indentured servitude system, they didn't want them over there no more. Benjamin Franklin called them snakes, European snakes. We don't want them here no more. So what we're going to do, we're going to put them to work, but we're going to put them to work in what is called the New World, which is called America. So they started putting them on boats. They started putting the blacks over there, who was over there, the Africans over there, the Ethiopians over there, who were also up under the indentured servitude system. They put them all on a boat and they sent them over here. And so when they bumped into the Indians and they tried to colonize the Indians and hitch them to the plow, some of the Indians was killing them. I mean, you know, a whole lot of them were dying. A whole lot of them were killing people. And so in 1492, of course, as you already know, the Spaniards started coming over here. They sent the Spaniards over here to try to encourage, through brutality, a whole lot of people to start working more. And through their brutality, a whole lot of people died off because obviously they were too brutal. And most of the Indians got sick, they died off. So what happened? The next thing you know, this guy, Bartholomew, something like that, he went to the Catholic Church and he told them what the problem was. I'm going to have to start being a little bit more accurate with these people because I'm excited right now. But what happened, which is no excuse, but what had happened was this priest over there gave sanction for everybody to be able to go over to Africa. He made it legal to be able to go over to Africa and get men and women to come over here in America to build the new world. So slavery was always a business. And how did they get us, our ancestors, over here? How was it that a handful of Europeans and Arabs can go over there and conquer the great African warriors, and just a handful of them can go over there and just take over like that? You think it was that goddamn easy? No, it wasn't like that at all, because slavery was a business. So who did they do business with? These folks that y'all love saying that you from, the so-called African kings and queens. Your first slave masters who handed you over to the enemy so that they could put you on boats and send you over here to build the new world, which is to this day called America. So I don't want nobody coming at me. Oh, you can come at me all you want to, but don't ever tell me that I don't know what I'm talking about. It may be a few things that are off, you know, but so what? This is why I tell you to research it. If you think I'm lying about the whole concept, you know, I may not get names and dates correct all the time, but you shouldn't be that goddamn petty anyway. I'm telling you to research it. This is how we got here. And stop walking around here being proud of these kings and queens of Africa. Those people were trash. That's how you got over here in this mess. So stop honoring them. They shouldn't be honored. And this is the reason why I'm saying, by us being a people over here in America, rejected by the entire world, it makes us a very unique people. We're actually a fresh people, but you have to understand exactly how we got here. And understand, we do not deserve to destroy ourselves the way that we're doing this day. If you really want to be a king and queen, do it in the same context that my beautiful queen, Alexis K. Tyler, the way she implements it. She implements it on good character, kindness, strength, all of those things. Alexis K. Tyler, look her up. She's the daughter of the late Jackie Wilson, the guy who they call Mr. Excitement. To be loved, to be loved. I ain't gonna embarrass myself, because believe me, he can sing much better than I can. I don't want to damage your ears and have you make, you know, have you go into nightmares and all that stuff when you sleep because you heard me sing. But if you want to be called a king and a queen, the root must be, as she said, good character, intelligence, wisdom, all of those things that actually mean something. And that way you're not shedding no blood. The only thing you're doing is being the best person that you can be. Like Brother Kevin Samuels did. Well, like he told us, be the best person that you can possibly be. Be the best you that you can possibly be. That's what makes you a king. That's what makes you a queen. And if you do that, that's the compatibility that we need of one another in order to come together and help create a new generation of people of honor and integrity. Not this mess you see today. Not this mess. That's the whole thing. That's the reason why I was pissed off yesterday. Stop walking around here calling each other king and queen, and you walking around here with your pants sagging. You around here twerking. You ain't no queen twerking. Find out what a king and a queen is before you allow somebody to call you one. Find out what it is, because it ain't nothing to be proud of. But we can change that all up. We can give that whole a whole new meaning. We can give that a whole new meaning. That doesn't have to be based upon the brutality of other human beings and the submission of other human beings, okay? Because look, let me tell you something. If you need people to bow down to you in order that you may be of this king status, you one of the weakest human beings that I've ever seen in my life. Are you saying Shaka Zulu was weak? Yes, he was. That's right. That's why when the truth hit him, he broke and he couldn't function no more. And he started abusing his own people because he was weak. And what happened? How did they destroy Shaka? They no longer submitted to him. That's how he lost his power. Because if making you a king, and if you and if your strength is by way of the submission of the people, who in fact has the power? Is it you, or is it the people's submission to you that gives you your power and authority over them? This is why it doesn't make any sense. You never give your power and authority to another human being. Whatever you can't figure out in your life, take some time and figure it out. But don't ever just be irresponsible and say, you tell me what to do with my life. I totally submit my whole existence to you. Do with me as you will. And that's what a lot of them did. And when that day of killing came up, that Shaka used to do once a week, I believe it was on Wednesday, where they would just go and just gather people up and just kill people. That's because you was under a rulership. You were under a rulership. So get it together. If you really want to understand what that means, do your research. And I'm going to cut this short, even though this video may be long to some. But just research it. Just research it. But understand, it's nothing to be proud of. The kings and queens of Africa, no, those were dictators. The kings and queens of Egypt, no, they were dictators. That's what they were. That's what they were. Wasn't nothing righteous about those people. I don't care how it looks. I don't care of the symbolic meanings and all of that. Those people were dictators. That's what they were. So when it all boils down to it, they cease to be human beings. And that's one of the primary reasons why I always say, stay human. Stay human. I don't care what you go through in life, stay human. And I'm gonna get out of here, y'all. Y'all have a good night. Peace.